Hey guys, tonight we're wandering somewhere a little different. Not a battlefield, not a throne room. And no, not another lecture about who married whom in the 1300s. Tonight you're walking into a village that shouldn't exist, a place where roosters crow every single day at exactly 4:17 a.m. Not 4:16, not 4:18. Even the lazy ones set their alarm beaks for that time. The oddest part? It's always 4:17 here, not metaphorically, literally. You could break every watch you own, toss your phone in a lake and walk until your shoes give up. But eventually, you'd hear it. The rooster's cry, sharp and certain, cutting through. The air like a ringtone from another century. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Leave a comment with your city and the current time. Let's see who's listening from the farthest time zone tonight. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You step onto a cobblestone path, slick with dew. Your shoes are a little damp, though honestly, you're not sure if that's from morning mist or some kind of fog that feels like it knows things. The lamplight along the street is dim and golden, coming from oil lanterns so old they seem to sigh every time the wind passes. Ahead, a scruffy hen perches on a crooked wooden fence. Her feathers look like she just survived a tornado and, yep, she's opening her beak to crow. Before you can even whisper, "What time is it?" you hear it. Caw, caw, caw. It slices the air like a warning. Then from the bushes, from the rooftops, from the abandoned well beside the road, dozens of other chickens respond in eerie harmony, a chorus of destiny. You glance at your watch. 17 a.m. Locals don't call it early morning. They call it waking hour. It's when everyone in the village opens their eyes, whether they're dreaming, snoring, or counting sheep. Even old Eliza, the eldest villager, swears she heard it the moment she was born. It's always been that way, she croaks, voice dry like corn stalks in the wind. We tried replacing the clocks once, but they always get pulled back. Yeah, ask her, pulled back by what? She raises an eyebrow, like you just asked how to boil rocks until they're soft. By time itself, child, here, time doesn't flow, then it skips. And she's right, you feel it. You walk for what feels like 3 hours, but the sky stays stubbornly dim. A boy rides past on a bicycle, stops, grins, and says, "Sir, the 4:17 party's tomorrow morning. You coming?" You nod, "Sure." Then he's gone, swallowed by fog like a scene rewinding. Night falls. You try to sleep, but 4:17 comes again. You try staying awake, and still it returns. You jot notes in a journal, sketch timelines, even attempt a handmade spreadsheet, but there's no after 4:17. You find yourself at a wooden building in the village center. A huge bell hangs above, never rings. On the wall, a hand-drawn map, dotted with little red roosters. A messy-haired boy appears out of nowhere. "Each one," he whispers, "marks where the first crow ever came from." You peer closer. London, Cairo, Kyoto. All the dates say before. 4:17, no one knows what began at that time. They only know it never ends. Locals whisper about a US officer who visited during World War II. He brought an atomic clock, installed it at the village center. It recorded everything. His conclusion: this place was 3.14 seconds out of sync with the rest of the world. Maybe just a coincidence, he wrote. Then he disappeared. You start to doubt yourself. Maybe it's all a dream. But the rooster peck mark on your boot is real. The burnt cornbread. Taste still lingers on your tongue, and then it hits you. Well, nobody here wears a watch. But everyone knows when it's 4:17. They feel it, in the wind, in their heartbeat. Even the jasmine blooms smell stronger then. You ask yourself, if time is just a concept, then who came up with 4:17? And just as you think that, you hear it, a crow, but this time from inside your coat pocket. You reach in a pocket watch. Old, tarnished, frozen, you've never seen it before. Its hands pointing to exactly 4:17. You look up. The fog has thickened, and someone's footsteps approach behind you. Slow, steady, like a ticking clock, but you don't turn around. You just stand there, because now you understand. This isn't a dream. This is a loop, and you've just received your first postcard from this world. You follow a cobbled path out toward the village's edge, where pine trees gather so tightly they feel like velvet curtains pulled close around the world. The air changes out here. It's rich with the smell of damp soil, decaying leaves, and, strangely, the faint tang of rust, as if once upon a time something metallic and massive was abandoned beneath the moss and memory. And then you see it. A train station, tiny, weather-worn. Its slanted wooden roof groans under its own age. A hand-carved sign swings gently in the mist. Galang Swong. Faint letters beneath it, half hidden by grime, catch your eye. You wipe them clean. Departure. 4:17, one way only. A white cat lies smack in the middle of the tracks, completely unfazed by your presence. It looks at you with eyes that seem older than language, like it already knows your name, your dreams, your password from middle school. You kneel to pet it. It doesn't move. Just blinks slowly, like a librarian judging your overdue books. Inside the station, the walls are stained honey yellow by time. Benches sag under invisible passengers. A huge wall clock, its hour hand broken clean off, the minute hand frozen stubbornly at 17. In the corner sits a rusted ticket machine with 3 buttons. Each one stranger than the last, go, no return. Still you're fairly sure. The third one isn't selling tickets. At the desk, an open guest book lies waiting. You flip through its pages. The handwriting jumps between Old English, archaic French, and what looks suspiciously like Etruscan script. On the very last line, one sentence glows faintly beneath your fingertips. He said the train would come back, but only if calendars stopped counting. From somewhere behind you, a hinge creaks. A door swings open. It's the storeroom. Inside, a dust-covered luggage cart sits silently, dust so thick it looks alive. Something glints underneath. You lean in, a boot, dull, old, military issue, blood-stained but dry, very dry, and that's when you realize someone's behind you. You didn't hear them come in. A man older than the trees outside. He wears a long wool coat with brass cuffs and buttons that gleam faintly, not with polish, but with remembrance. He looks at you, then asks simply, "Have you heard the train yet?" You say nothing. He points to the tracks. You turn, nothing there. But wait, your feet begin to hum. Not from cold, from vibration. Far off you hear it. Not a whistle, not an engine. Just the click-clack of metal on metal, far away but approaching steadily. The air shifts. A breeze blows back toward you, carrying the scent of coal and mint, like steam from a forgotten dream. He tells you a story. In 1863, he says, a regiment of Union soldiers passed through this village en route to Gettysburg. They boarded a train at this very station. It left at 4:17 a.m. No one survived the battle, but something odd happened. Their names kept appearing in the village registry, decades after their deaths, and every 17 years, villagers claim to see them again, walking the tracks. Unbothered, unchanged, like war was something they'd only read about. Historians still argue about it. Some call it mass hallucination. Others believe it's evidence of a temporal fold and a wrinkle in time looping endlessly at dawn. You stare down the track. Fog rolls in like milk poured across the earth. Something large moves within it. A train. No engine, no light, no whistle. Just car after car, empty, gliding through the fog as though remembering what it once meant to arrive. Inside each one, you see signs of life. Warm indentations on the seats. Half-folded letters. A teacup left mid-sip. One car has its door ajar. You don't step inside, but you do see something. A letter, half tucked into the frame. You run to grab it. On the envelope, crooked handwriting. To the one who comes after, reminder, never go past 4:17. You turn to show the old man, but he's gone. You touch the train. It's ice cold. A sound drifts from inside. Faint, a military march. Almost patriotic. Until you realize every fourth beat cut short at 17 seconds. A loop, broken. A song that won't finish. You don't remember leaving the station. Only that when you return to the village road, the white cat is there again. This time, wearing a tiny blue soldier's cap. It watches you with quiet approval, as if it just kept a secret safe on your behalf. And then, of course, a rooster crows. You check the pocket watch you don't recall owning, still 4:17. You wonder maybe the train didn't leave at all. Maybe it just passed through a different layer of the world, one you weren't quite ready to enter until now. You try to wake up early the next day. Not that it matters here. Waking up early is like racing a shadow. You'll always lose track of who's ahead. Still, you want to be prepared for the so-called 4:17 festival. You step outside. Nishadidui, sky hangs in a permanent pre-dawn glow. A weird shade between blueberry and ash. Some villagers are already up, lighting oil lamps shaped like roosters and laying out rugs patterned in gold thread. Children dart by with paper masks shaped like beaks. Someone hands you one. It fits a little too well. A cart rolls into the square, creaking with every turn of its wheels. On top, pies, cornbread, a suspicious number of eggs. "Happy waking," a man says cheerfully, placing a boiled egg in your palm like it's sacred. "Happy what?" "Waking," he repeats. The moment time notices you noticing it. Sure, that clears it up. In the middle of the square, someone rings a bell. But not the old chapel bell. No, this one's made of glass. It hums more than it rings, vibrating through your ribs. And then you see it. The rooster. Not a rooster, the rooster. It's standing on the mayor's table like a celebrity about to drop an album. Feathers slicked back, stance proud, eyes closed. In perfect composure, you brace yourself and right on cue, oh, 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 the sound hits like a ceremonial gong underwater. And suddenly all around, chickens join in. From tree branches, rooftops, someone's soup pot. They rise like a feathery gospel choir of the bizarre. One hen in a bonnet flaps her wings with operatic intensity. Another rooster appears to faint dramatically into a haystack. Your watch reads 4:17. A child nearby whispers, "Did you feel that?" You nod, although you don't know what you're agreeing to. There was a shift, subtle, like the moment before you sneeze, or the pause before a song changes key. The villagers cheer. Someone juggles eggs, someone else tries and fails to do a handstand in a chicken costume. Then, without warning, it ends. No closing act, no curtain call. It's as if everyone just resumes life. A woman sells ribbons, a man fixes a chair. Children play tag. You approach a vendor and ask what the point of the festival is. She shrugs, handing you a biscuit. The same as any tradition, she says. We do it because we did it before. You chew quietly. The biscuit tastes like rosemary and déjà vu. You ask about the rooster. Oh, that one, she says. That's Henri. Been around longer than the chapel. Possibly older than the clock tower. Don't look him directly in the eyes too long. He remembers before the village. You look back. Henri is now pecking rhythmically at the ground in a perfect 4/4 tempo. Behind him, a chalkboard displays next, crowing 4:17. But that's now, you say. The vendor smiles. Exactly. You blink. And somehow it's already tomorrow, or yesterday. Time ripples like heat over stone. You notice a man in the corner sketching in a notebook. You glance over, he's drawing you. Standing in front of the vendor, biscuit mid-bite, you ask if he's an artist. No, he replies without looking up. I'm a timestamp. Before you can ask what that means, he tears the page, folds it, and tucks it into a weathered leather satchel, already bursting with hundreds of others. He stands, bows slightly and says, "Nice being you." Then he vanishes into the crowd, leaving behind the faint smell of ink and lavender. You look at your watch again, still 4:17. You think either this is the most elaborate joke the universe has ever played, or you're in a postcard someone else is writing, and it's not finished yet. You decide to test the limits. If this place truly bends time like soft wax, there must be cracks somewhere, seams you can pull apart. So you climb a hill just beyond the village where the pine trees, thin and old stones, poke from the grass like ancient teeth. Up here, the air smells sharper, less of jasmine, more of burnt something. A faint electrical hum tickles the back of your ears like the silence before a power outage. You find a weathered sign nailed to a crooked post. The words are almost unreadable, but you squint and trace the carved letters with your fingertips. Observatory closed since the eclipse. There's no date, because of course there isn't. You push open the warped wooden door and step inside. The observatory is not what you expected. No giant telescope, no rows of dusty books, just a round room with a skylight at the top and a massive pendulum swinging in silence. No ticking, just the quiet slice of metal through air. You approach it slowly. There's a chart nearby. Hundreds of vertical lines etched onto a metal plate beneath the pendulum's swing. Each line is labeled with a name and a number. Some familiar, Einstein, Newton, others you've never seen. At the center, one line marked 4:17 in bright red. You bend down to look closer. That line is deeper than the others. As if the pendulum hit it again and again, more than any other point. A chill runs through your chest. Someone clears their throat. You spin around. It's a woman in a navy blue coat, sipping something from a porcelain teacup. "Sorry," she says politely. "Didn't mean to startle you. Time has poor manners in here." She gestures for you to sit. There's no chair, but you find yourself seated anyway on a stool that wasn't there before. "I run the clock," she says. "Well, I used to, until the clock began running me." You ask what this place is. "This?" She smiles. "This is the Time Library. The observatory part is just for show. No one really watches the stars anymore. They're just dots on paws. You nod slowly, trying to pretend that makes sense. She offers you the teacup. It smells like cinnamon and static. You take a cautious sip. It tastes like memories of things that didn't happen. A dream you forgot. A conversation you almost had. She reaches for a stack of papers and begins sorting them. Each sheet is blank, but as she flips through them, images appear briefly. Child's drawing, a battle scene, a single chicken standing in a field. She catches your glance. These are drafts, she explains. Moments that nearly occurred but didn't. They all bottleneck around 4:17. You ask, why that time? She shrugs. Some think it's a side effect of the great pause. Others say it was the moment time got curious and looked at itself in the mirror. She leans closer, voice dropping to a whisper. But personally, I think 4:17 is just when we're most vulnerable, not asleep, not awake, but suspended. Like an old film reel skipping, you stand, the stool vanishing beneath you. The pendulum continues its arc. You check your watch. Still 4:17, she smiles. You'll find the exit through the east door. But remember, her voice fades as the walls around her begin to dissolve into parchment fog. Don't bring the time back with you. You blink. You're outside again. Hill, trees, air, but the air now smells of ink. And something is clutched. In your hand, a page from the blank papers, only this one isn't blank. It shows you. Standing where you are, reading the page. You fold it slowly. And don't look at your watch this time. You already know what it says. You follow the cobbled path out toward the edge of the village, where the pine trees knit themselves so tightly together they feel like curtains drawn against a stage no one wants you to see. The air here changes, heavier, laced with damp moss.
Rust and something else? Old metal, perhaps? You wrinkle your nose.
It smells like a machine forgot by time. And then you see it, the train station. Tiny, weathered. Its slanted roof sags like a tired sigh, wooden shingles curled from too many winters. A hand-carved sign above the entrance reads in faded letters, Galang Swong, Silent Mist Station. Beneath that, another smaller line, almost completely lost under dust and mildew. You wipe it gently with your sleeve. Departure 4:17, one way only. A white cat lies across the rusted tracks, entirely unbothered by your presence. It doesn't move, doesn't blink, just watches you the way old statues sometimes seem, with a gaze both knowing and unsolvable. You crouch down to pet it. The fur is surprisingly warm. The cat only blinks as if you've done exactly what it expected. You step inside the station. Wooden walls yellowed with age, a long bench,
Splintered and empty.
a huge iron clock on the far wall, the hour hand broken off, the minute hand frozen at 17. In the corner, a rusted ticket machine, 3 buttons, each labelled, Depart, No Return. Still you. The last one doesn't seem like a destination. At the front desk, you find a guest book. The pages are filled with frantic, overlapping handwriting, lines in Old English, broken French, symbols that look like a forgotten alphabet. You flip toward the back. The final line, scrawled in uneven strokes, reads, He said the train would return, but only when the calendar gives up. Suddenly, a creak behind you. The storage door slowly opens on its own. You step closer. Inside, a luggage cart covered in so much dust, it looks like it's grown fur. Something glints underneath, a soldier's boot. 19th century style. The leather cracked, the soul stained dark, you freeze. Then, behind you, a voice, deep and quiet like thunder, hiding underground. You hear the train yet, child? You turn. An old man stands by the wall, dressed in a wool coat with brass cuff buttons. You didn't hear him arrive. He nods toward the tracks. You listen. Nothing. Then, a vibration under your feet. Soft but steady. And then the sound, steel against
Steel, distant and cold. A wind rises carrying the scent of coal smoke and mint leaves.
The old man speaks again. Back in 1863, a company of Union soldiers passed through here on their way to Gettysburg. The train left exactly at 4:17. You ask what happened. They never came back. All perished in battle. He pauses. But their names still appear in the village census. Every 17 years, folks here see them walking those rails again, calm as fog, as if they never left. You stare at him. Historians still debate, he says, whether the 4:17 train is
Mass hallucination.
or evidence of a timeline that never stopped running. Then he disappears, just like that. You run outside. A thick, milk-colored fog pours across the tracks, and from within it, a shape, the train, no engine, no sound, just empty passenger cars, gliding silently like ghosts on parade. Each one drifts by lazy. Inside, no people, but every seat carries an imprint, a dent, a crease, as if someone just stood up. One door opens. You don't step in. But you see something fluttering inside, a letter peeking from a wooden seat. You reach for it. The envelope reads, "To the one who arrives next. Remember, never beyond 4:17. You turn to find the old man again, but he's gone. You touch the side of the train. It's cold, so cold. Then faint music, a military march, but the rhythm stutters. Every beat stops at exactly 4 seconds. 17, you don't remember leaving the station. Only when you return to the village path, the white cat is there again, but this time it's wearing a tiny blue soldier's cap, and its eyes say something you're not yet ready to hear. And then, of course, as always, the crow.
Oh. You look at your pocket watch, still, always 4:17, and you wonder, maybe that train never departed. Maybe it just travels through a version of the world you haven't reached yet.
You wake up. Or maybe you never slept. You're lying on a mattress, stuffed with something softer than feathers, wrapped in old linen sheets that smell faintly of lavender and copper. You sit up. This isn't the room you fell asleep in. The window is wide open, the curtain fluttering like it's breathing. Outside, pale morning fog clings to the ground, refusing to lift. You hear it again, the crow. One single call, not rushed, not late. 17. You check your pocket. The watch is still there, still stopped, still staring at you like an unblinking eye. You stand and open the wardrobe. Inside, a row of nearly identical coats, all in muted colours, all worn but carefully kept. Indigo, russet, saffron, teal. Beneath them, a pair of boots, just your size. Already dusted, already warm. You put them on. Outside the house, the village is strangely quiet. Not asleep, but waiting. As though everyone is holding their breath for something they don't quite remember asking for. You walk through narrow alleys where ivy climbs the stone walls in deliberate spirals. You pass a bakery with no one inside, yet fresh loaves steam in the window. A note taped to the door reads, "Take what you need, leave what you can." A man sweeping his doorstep pauses and gives you a nod, the kind that says, You're new, but not really. You nod back, though you're not sure why. You reach the square at the village centre. In the middle stands a stone pedestal with no statue. Just an empty brass frame and a plaque beneath it. Dedicated to the moment between
moments.
You sit beside it, breathe, listen. You hear someone walking toward you. It's a young girl in a teal dress, holding a folded paper rooster. She offers it to you wordlessly. You take it. The folds are impossibly precise, as if they were made by wind and intention rather than fingers. When you open it, there's a message inside. If you find the key, you'll still need the door.
You ask where the door is. She just points. Not to a building, but upward. You follow her gaze to the bell tower, the one that never rings. The spiral staircase inside is narrow and dusty, but each step seems to creak with recognition. You swear.
You've walked this exact rhythm before. At the top, you find the bell. Large, bronze, covered in scratches. A rope dangles from its center. You pull it. Nothing happens. No sound, just the wind shifting. But below, in the village square, something
moves. A crack opens in the stones, barely wide enough to fit your hand. You return to it.
Inside, a key. Old, cold, heavier than it should be, it hums. You don't ask what it unlocks, you just tuck it in your coat pocket right beside the watch. You look around. The villagers are still going about their lives, fixing shutters, sweeping, porches, feeding chickens that now seem to bow slightly when you pass. It's all perfectly normal. And yet, everything is arranged like a stage waiting for its final act. As if 417 isn't just a time, it's a ritual. A curtain cue. You hear
it again. Not the rooster. Something else. A slow clap. Distant, measured. You turn.
There's no one there, but behind you on the wall of the bakery, someone has drawn a perfect circle in chalk. It wasn't there earlier. Inside it, a number. 417, you press your hand against it. It's warm, and for a moment, just one flicker of
a second. You hear the bell tower ring. Clear, singular, then silent again. You walk back to your room,
where the sheets are already made, the curtain already still, the boots placed precisely where they were before. As you lie down, the watch ticks once, just once. You check the time. Still 4:17 always, and outside one final rooster call cuts through the fog. It sounds almost amused. You don't remember deciding to visit the village library, but somehow you're already standing in front of it. A modest stone building nestled between two overgrown hedges. Its wooden sign swings gently in a breeze that doesn't seem to touch anything else. The letters are faded, but you can still make them out. Thu Quan No Lung, which loosely means the library of half memory. The door creaks open on its own. Inside, the scent hits you like a whisper from another life. Old paper, dried herbs, and the faintest trace of citrus oil. Rows upon rows of books lean against each other like tired travelers, waiting for the next chapter to begin. You walk slowly between the shelves, running your fingers along cracked leather spines.
None of them have titles, only symbols. Some are stars, some are feathers. One is just a perfect circle with a line through it, like a clock frozen at 4:17. In the corner, an old man sits behind a desk carved from black walnut. He looks up, nods
once, and then returns to writing with a quill dipped in something thicker than ink. You ask, quietly, if you can borrow a book. He doesn't look up, just gestures toward a shelf behind him. You walk over. Only one book remains. It's bound in deep indigo cloth, tied shut with a red thread. The cover has no words, only an embossed rooster. Wings folded, eyes open. You untie the thread as you
open it, you realize. It's about you, not metaphorically, literally. Each page describes something you've just done. Walking past the bakery, the bell that didn't ring, the key in your pocket. You flip faster. Page after page records events
that haven't happened yet. You slam it shut. The old man clears his throat. You can't unread what you weren't meant to read yet, he says gently. You ask him where the book came from. He smiles, then pulls back his sleeve. There's a tattoo on his wrist, a tiny watch face, permanently fixed at 4:17. We don't write these, he explains. They arrive. You ask, from where? He shrugs. Depends who's reading. You carry the book to the exit. There's no checkout desk, no scanner. Just a handwritten note on the wall. If it follows you home, it's yours. As you step back into the fog, the book feels heavier. You glance. Behind, the library is gone. In its place, a small wooden birdhouse hanging from a tree branch. A rooster-shaped wind vane spins gently above it. You look down, the book is still in your hands. Only now the title has appeared. Chapter 8. The One Who Knows Too Much. You don't remember skipping ahead, but something tells you. You're
not going back. You hear distant footsteps on soft, deliberate. You tuck the book beneath your coat and continue walking. Above you, a bell chimes once. The time you already know. 4:17 always.
The air is thicker tonight, heavier somehow, like memory soaked in fog. You follow the narrow path behind the library that was, boots brushing against dew-damp grass, the sky above dim and smeared like someone forgot to finish painting the
stars. The silence hums. You reach the greenhouse, at least it used to be one.
Now it's a frame of rusted metal ribs and shattered glass teeth, vines clawing their way up the corners like time trying to reclaim its debt. The door creaks as if sighing. You step inside, and there, in a neat, impossible circle, grow jasmine flowers glowing faintly in the gloom. You kneel. The scent is thick. It's not floral, but old, like pages of a love letter sealed too long. You touch a petal. It pulses gently under your fingertip. On the ground beside it lies a pair of pruning shears. Not rusted, not forgotten. Sharpened, polished. Set down just moments ago by someone who doesn't exist anymore, or hasn't yet. You hear movement. A soft shuffle from the far corner. You stand. A woman in a saffron shawl steps forward, face partially covered, eyes dark as spilled
ink.
She's holding a clay pot. Inside, a plant with black leaves and a single bud shaped exactly like a rooster's comb. She speaks, but not aloud. The words come to you like a half-remembered dream. Some plants bloom only once every hour that doesn't exist. You try to reply. Nothing comes out. She offers you the pot. You take it without thinking. It's warm, not from sun, but from within, like something about to wake up. When you look back up, she's gone. In her place stands a small wooden sign, buried in moss. Established. 4:17 a.m. regrows what's been forgotten. You step back outside. The fog lifts slightly, not because the sun is rising, but because the village has decided to let you see more. You notice something you hadn't before, a pattern in the weathered cobblestones beneath your feet, tiny carvings, a rooster, a clock, a spiral, an arrow pointing nowhere. You turn. Behind you, the greenhouse is gone. In its place, a bed of earth, freshly turned. Something's been planted, or maybe something's trying to grow back. You check the clay pot in your hands. Empty. No.
Soil, no roots, just a folded piece of parchment nestled inside. You open it, one sentence, and this is how it starts.
You fold it carefully, place it in your coat pocket beside the watch and the key and the book that keeps writing itself. Your pockets are starting to feel heavy, but your steps feel lighter, because something inside you, a small, quiet something, finally understands not why 417 matters, but that it always did. You walk past the same wooden fence again, or one that looks exactly like it. The strange thing is, you're pretty sure you haven't turned around. The village folds in on itself, not in sharp angles, but in loops, like handwriting scrawled by someone trying to remember a dream. Ahead, you spot the bakery. It's closed, of course. The sign swings lightly, reading, "Bread for the present, baked in the past." You smile despite yourself. A chalkboard sits beneath the window. Today's special. Loaf of memory, served warm. You press your hand to the glass. It's cool, but behind it, the shelves are full. You don't see any people, but the bread steams softly. The air smells of cinnamon, rosemary, and something
Else, something metallic, like time that's just been reheated. Then from the alley beside the bakery, you hear it, a child's voice, soft and unbothered.
"Did you save your crust from last time?" You turn, and there he is again, the boy on the bike. The same rust-colored scarf, the same calm, two old eyes. You say nothing. He continues pedaling slowly in circles, as if mapping something only he can see. He points to your coat pocket. "You still have the clock, right?" You nod. He stops, leans in. "Good," he whispers. "You'll need it for the parade." You raise an eyebrow. "What parade?" He doesn't answer. He just pedals off again, disappearing into the same fog he always does. You keep walking. Soon the cobblestones begin to change, no longer rough, but tiled, etched with names. Hundreds of them. Names you don't recognize, but feel familiar. You spot one tile that reads, "The one who left before he arrived." Another, "She who mistook the crowing for a signal." You find one blank. You stare at it. Then something flickers across the surface. Your reflection, for just a heartbeat. Wearing the same cloak, the same confused expression. You blink. It's gone. A distant drumbeat echoes through the mist. Not music, not war, just a rhythm. 4 beats. Pause. 1 beat. 4, 1. 7, you look up. The mist thins, just enough to reveal the edges of a crowd gathering. Roosters in waistcoats, grandmothers with glowing shawls, children holding lanterns shaped like suns, all facing the same direction. Waiting for something, a parade, maybe. Or the next moment that never truly arrives. You take your place among them, not because you understand,
but because your feet won't let you do anything else. One more tile at your feet glows softly. It says, "Witness." And that feels about right.
You didn't mean to follow the music, or if that's what it was. At first, it sounded like wind brushing through empty bottles, then like distant humming, then unmistakably a piano. Off-key, like it hadn't been tuned since the war, but tender, as if whoever played it remembered how the notes used to sound. You follow it down a narrow lane you swear wasn't there yesterday. At the end, a small house leans slightly to one side. Ivy climbs its walls like it's trying to hold the building upright. A rooster-shaped weather vane spins lazily above the crooked roof, even though there's no wind. The door is ajar. You push it open. Inside, the music halts mid-note. The room is dim. Dust dances like spirits in the air, catching the light from a single oil lamp hanging crooked from a hook. A piano sits in the corner, the kind found in old taverns or abandoned schoolhouses, its keys yellowed like old teeth, sitting. On the bench is a woman in a teal cloak, her back to you. She doesn't turn around, just gestures to the wall beside her. There, dozens of clocks hang, all frozen at 4:17. Some are ornate, with brass detailing and delicate carvings. Others are simple, pocket watches, sundials, even a grandfather clock with no pendulum. Each ticks once when you look at it, then goes silent. You ask softly, "What is this place?" The woman replies without moving, "It's where they go." You ask, "Who?" Still she doesn't face you. But her answer is clear. The minutes that don't belong. You approach the piano. She shifts over, offering you half the bench. You sit. She begins to play again, but now it's a duet. You don't know how your hands move the keys, yet the melody emerges like it remembers itself. A strange waltz. 3 beats, then 4. Then a pause. Tick, 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 tick. Then silence, then laughter. Yours. Quiet. Surprised, she
finally turns. Her face is familiar. You've seen it before. Maybe in a dream. Maybe in a mirror when you weren't fully awake. She whispers, "The music was always inside you. You just forgot how to listen."
When you stand to leave, the clocks begin ticking again. All in unison, the room breathes with sound. As you step outside, the melody lingers behind you like a promise. The lane vanishes the moment you pass the 3rd house. But the sound, it stays in your pocket. The watch ticks once. You don't check the time. You already know. Tonight, the village feels more awake than usual, even though no one's talking. You find yourself wandering past the edge of the square where the ground softens and turns to wild earth. The trees here grow closer together, hunched like gossiping. Elders, their branches woven tightly above. Ahead, a crooked wooden arch welcomes you into what someone once called a garden, though no one would plant vegetables here. Stone paths twist like tangled thoughts. Between the hedges, shapes flicker. Not quite people, not quite shadows. And then you see them, chickens, dozens of them, not clucking, not pecking, just sitting. Perched atop fences, coops, and the rim of a dry stone well, their heads tilt toward you in eerie synchronization. Their eyes blink slowly, knowingly, and for a second, you feel like the stranger at a courtroom, not the guest of a story. You stop walking. One rooster hops down from a high beam. It limps toward you. Its left leg is wrapped in a tiny white bandage. It's wearing glasses, round spectacles, slightly cracked. It stops inches from your boots, raises its head, and crows, but softly, like a whisper made of metal. Then it speaks. No beak movement. No words, not really, but the message arrives. Every 417 belongs to us. You don't know what to say. Not that it matters. They weren't waiting for an answer. Behind the rooster, something catches your eye. a faded mural painted onto a crumbling brick wall. It depicts a protest. Chickens holding signs. No more. Time loops. Wake up. Ida, speak up. Cluck the system. You try not to laugh, but the absurdity breaks through your confusion. That's when the sky shifts. The moon flickers like an old light bulb. The rooster turns its head sharply and
flaps once. All the others follow, a silent flutter of wings, forming a circle around you. One begins to hum.
Another pecks rhythmically at the ground. You realize what's happening. A ritual. You are the centerpiece. You're not afraid, at least not in the way you expected. There's a strange serenity to it, like stepping into a play you didn't rehearse for, but somehow know by heart. The rooster steps back. The others part. At the center of the garden now stands a small wooden podium, and sitting on it, a letter addressed to you, handwritten, sealed with a wax imprint of a chicken's footprint. You take it, open it, inside, just one line, we remember. Who forgets? You fold the letter, unsure whether to keep it or burn it. But when you glance down again, it's already gone, and so are the chickens. No flutter, no sound, only the stillness of the garden as if it had never happened. You exhale, then, faintly, you hear the first crow of the next loop, somewhere just barely past the trees, and your watch ticks once. The fog feels warmer tonight. Not comforting, not dangerous, just aware. You walk toward the village bell tower, or what's left of it. Only 2 of its 4 wooden beams remain standing, and the bell itself hangs sideways, suspended by ropes that look too frayed to hold anything heavier than silence. You climb the creaking stairs inside, each step like the groan of a memory resisting recall. At the top, you find something unexpected. Desk, not an altar, not an old map table, a simple desk like the kind you'd find in a schoolroom 100 years ago. On it, stacks of paper and quills. You sit, the paper closest to you is blank, but only for a second. Ink begins to appear. Line after line, written by an invisible hand. It's your handwriting, but these aren't your words. He arrived with questions, but left carrying time. She never asked why the fog sang her.
Name? They all danced once, they just don't remember. You glance around. Behind you, the village is visible through the slats in the wooden frame. Houses like toy blocks, scattered by a thoughtful child. Then you hear footsteps. Soft ones coming up the stairs. You don't turn.
You've learned not to. Instead, you wait, and a voice speaks. Familiar, though not one you've ever heard out loud. It says, "Do you know why the bell doesn't ring?" You think for a moment, then shake your head. The voice answers, "Because it already did. Once, and no one listened." You look up at the bell. A crack runs down its center, like a timeline split by regret. Then something shifts. You notice the wall behind the desk has been carved, covered with names, initials, symbols. One stands out, a simple rooster etched inside a circle. Under it, the number 417. You run your finger over it. It's warm. Below that symbol, someone wrote, "Let none sleep through the hour that repeats." You blink. Your hands are now covered in ink. The pages before you are gone. Only the symbol remains, freshly carved. You don't remember doing it. Gust of wind passes through the tower, and the bell shifts ever so slightly. Enough to hum, not a ring, just a vibration, a breath of sound. You descend the stairs slowly, Outside, the village seems to glow a little more golden, as if the fog had remembered how to be light. You feel it in your pocket, the pocket watch. You check it. Not ticking, but the hands move slowly together, both pointing at the top. And just before they meet, you swear you hear something soft, melodic, and echoing, "Wake gently, wake truly, wake now." Then, silence, only the sound of your breath and the crunch of gravel beneath your steps. You return to the village square, or what passes for one in this place. The lamplight flickers gently, casting long shadows that don't quite line up with the figures creating them. It's as if the past and present are arguing about who gets us to exist. Near the well, the same one where the chickens once perched, something new has appeared. A puppet theatre. You're certain it wasn't there yesterday. It's made of faded velvet and weather-warped wood with hand-painted curtains that ripple without wind. On the front, a crooked sign reads, "Today's play, the minute that never was." You approach, no one else is around. Still the curtain rises. The puppets are beautifully crafted. Small, jointed figures with faces carved in intricate detail. Too detailed. One looks like you. Another looks like the woman from the piano room. Another resembles the boy on the bicycle. They begin to move, but there are no strings and no hands. The play begins in silence, a village asleep. Then, a rooster. Crows, puppets. Jolt upright. The clock strikes 4:17, and then freeze. The scene repeats and repeats and repeats, but each time one small thing changes. A puppet stumbles, another vanishes. One stares directly out past the stage at you. You lean closer. The puppet version of you raises its hand. It points to something not behind you, not above you, inside you. A whisper brushes your ear, though no one is there. You were always part of the cast. Suddenly, the puppets collapse like marionettes, dropped mid-show. The curtain falls, you step back, but the stage is gone. Only the empty square remains. You walk away, but now everything feels like a stage. The bakery, the old schoolhouse, even the trees, all too perfectly placed, as if curated for observation. You pass a shop window. Inside, mirrors.
Dozens of them, each one reflects you, standing in a different pose. One holds a lantern, another wears a soldier's coat, one is asleep, one is staring back, expressionless, but only one moves in sync with you. And even then, it's just slightly
delayed. You turn away. You keep walking. The sound of footsteps follows. Never too close, never quite behind. Just enough to remind you. Someone or something is watching, but you knew that already, didn't you? You reach into your pocket, expecting to find the watch. Instead, you pull out something else, a tiny wooden puppet. Wearing your clothes, you squeeze it. Its arms flop lifelessly, but the head tilts up. Slowly, its tiny eyes look at you and blink. It's raining now. Not heavily, a quiet drizzle, the kind that doesn't soak your coat but clings to your eyelashes like dew. You walk beneath the trees and they seem taller than before, stretching upward as if trying to touch a sky that won't answer. Everything smells of moss and rusted time. You find yourself back at the edge of the village where the trees thin just enough to reveal something new. A doorway, freestanding, no walls, no roof. Just a tall, old-fashioned doorway made of black wood.
planted in the middle of the clearing. There's no handle, just a brass plaque. You bend down to read it. 1 step forward, 2 memories behind.
You hesitate, but you step through and the world flickers, not disappears, just shifts. You're still in the forest, same trees, same drizzle, but something is off. You hear laughter, not close, not menacing, just distant, like it happened 10 minutes ago and never quite left. You follow it, and there it is, the carousel, a broken, overgrown carousel with chipped horses and peeling paint. It turns slowly, powered by nothing visible. On each painted horse is a name, handwritten, almost childish. One says, Mara, age 6. Another, Litter D. Granger, 1943, and one bears your name. Not carved, not painted, just written in chalk, faint and recent. You wipe it with your sleeve, but the chalk doesn't budge. Instead, your sleeve now carries your name too. You climb onto the platform. The carousel begins to move faster, but the world around it slows. The forest stands still, raindrops pausing mid-air. You see things, flickers in the trees, people, memories.
Shadows of yourself at different ages. You as a child, you asleep on a couch.
You standing at a crossroads holding a map upside down. The carousel keeps spinning. The music plays, soft, mechanical, out of tune. And then it stops, abruptly. You're alone. The horses are empty. Your name is gone. And the rain resumes. You step
off. The forest exhales as if it had been holding its breath, and on the ground you notice something, a crumpled paper ticket. You unfold it. Admit 1 for as long as you remember.
You look up. The carousel is gone. Only the doorway remains, standing quietly in the drizzle. You walk toward it, but before you pass through again, you hear the faintest sound behind you, the creak of a wooden horse, and a child's voice whispering, "Your turn again. Soon." The sky doesn't brighten. It just turns quieter. You walk now with slower steps, as though even the air is asking you to linger. The village begins to look smaller. Not because you're far away, but because it's folding into itself. Gently, like a letter being sealed, you find yourself back at the doorstep where it all began. Damp cobblestones beneath your boots. The mist swirls lazily, no longer hiding anything, just softening it. At your feet lies an envelope, aged, slightly torn, sealed with wax in the shape of a rooster's footprint. You pick it up. The front reads, in faded ink, "To the one who stayed past the chime." You don't open it. Not yet. Instead, you sit. The bench behind you wasn't there before, but it's warm and familiar. You breathe in the scent of the village, damp wood, faint jasmine, a touch of old parchment. You remember things now. Little things, like how the roosters crow didn't echo, simply existed, or how the fog wasn't trying to hide anything, it was trying to hold you. You open the envelope. Inside is a single slip of paper. 1 sentence. "All time is borrowed. Yours was simply returned." You smile, a tired kind of smile. The kind you wear when something confusing finally makes a strange kind of sense. You look up. The village is still there, but the lines are softer. Colors fading, like watercolor left in the rain, and then you hear it, faintly. Not a rooster, not footsteps, just breathing. Yours and someone else's in rhythm. You glance at your pocket watch, of course. It says 4:17, it always has. You close your eyes, you lean back, and for the first time since you arrived, you let go of wondering. You don't need to understand this place anymore. You just need to rest. The bench holds you like memory. The fog wraps around you like a bedtime story. And the village, strange, impossible, quiet, hums softly. You drift and drift, and somewhere far away, a single feather falls through a clock tower and lands on the hour hand like a whisper.
Thank you.